Morning, all. All right, so 6 games tonight in the NHL. We've got 3 early ones, 3 late ones. And looking up any information on the preview for this on the NHL app, all I'm getting is this content could not be loaded. So again, the app is not impressing me. I don't know why they changed it either, because I've seen people saying, why did they change it? And I kept thinking, okay, when the regular season rolls around, either they'll have fixed it so it works better, or they'll do some kind of, maybe you can revert back, because that's happened with technology before where they're like, hey, let's undo this update. It doesn't feel like they're going to do that. So at any rate, we'll fight through it. There's going to be nights where it's really, really busy, and because of how they've got it all displayed, you have to be in each game to see who got the assists on each goal. So they made it so that it's harder to see what's... Anyway, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between Ottawa and Carolina tonight. Both of these teams, of course, making their season debuts, as everybody is, minus Chicago. Chicago in the second half of a back-to-back. But for Ottawa fans, 11 forward, 6 defensemen for them tonight. So we'll see how they handle that. You can't afford any injuries when you're already a man short, and it's for salary cap reasons. So this is where things get kind of tricky. Tim Stützle is going to be one to watch for Ottawa. If they're going to get back into the playoffs, Stützle is going to have a fantastic year. He had 90 points last year. If he can up that to 95 or 100, the more the better. Sanderson, of course, now with that new contract, there's a lot more eyeballs on him. He's under the microscope. I think he'll do quite well. The one Ottawa game I watched in the preseason, he was in mid-season form, so I think they'll be fine. Tarasenko, of course, this being his first regular season game as a member of the Senators. We'll see if he gets off to a fast start. On the Carolina side, you've got Sebastian Aho, a very creative star player in the NHL, and I think capable of a lot more points than he produces. Aho's one of those guys that when you watch him play and then you look at the points production, you're thinking there should be more. So we'll see if this is the year. Orlov, of course, brought over to a defense that it didn't feel like needed much revamping, but this is a stacked defense right now with Carolina. We'll see how everything shakes down for them. And Svechnikov making his return to the lineup. For Svechnikov, had to be tough being out of the lineup for the playoffs, and it is really important for Carolina if they're going to take that final step and win a Stanley Cup. They're going to need to find a way to stay healthy for as long as possible here. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the oldest of the rivalries in the National Hockey League, Montreal and Toronto. Both of these teams making their season debuts, of course. Suzuki's going to be one to watch for Montreal. A lot of potential there for points because he plays with Cole Caulfield. And those two have great chemistry together. If Caulfield plays the entire season, if Suzuki stays healthy, both of them should be in the point-per-game range. Kirby Dach may very well be in that 60-65 point range if he can play a full season. Montreal's not going to be a team you want to take lightly. I'll put it that way. On the Toronto side, of course, Austin Matthews coming off of a 40-goal season that was considered a down year. And he's known for starting off pretty quickly in years that he's doing quite well. So we'll see if he hits the ground running this time out. But for Matthews, really, I don't think it should be a major problem for him to improve on his totals from last year. Klingberg, of course, joining this team and being counted on to run the first power play unit. A very good power play that they're trying to turn lethal. Probably looking for Edmonton-like numbers, right? And then Max Domi. Will Max Domi be a really good complementary scorer? Can he stay out of the box enough? And that's one question that I've had with Domi with his last few stops is, penalty-wise, he can't be hurting your team. But, Toronto's going to be a fun one to watch, too. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, Chicago and Boston. So, of course, for Boston, it's a centennial year, meaning you're not going to see this jersey this season. They're just wearing the 3 centennial jerseys. As far as I know, that's all they're wearing all season. That's the way they're marketing everything. And, of course, so I had to get a centennial magnet as well. For Chicago, they're coming off that 4-2 comeback victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins last night. Surprised us all. Bedard had an assist in his debut. He was strong, 5 shots on net, 11 shot attempts. Played over 20 minutes in that game. Didn't look out of place. For Corey Perry, he had a couple of helpers and looks to be rejuvenated with Chicago as well. Korchinski had a very good debut too, and so we'll see how things go for Chicago tonight. On the Boston front, Pavel Zacha. So this is where Zacha officially takes over as the number 1 center for the Boston Bruins. But while you're keeping an eye on Zacha, also watch Poitras. 19-year-old forward who manages to make the lineup and has been their third-line center. There's potential there for him to move up. I would think that the Bruins will give him every opportunity to succeed. Charlie McAvoy on the blue line. He is looking to have a big year, and if he plays the full 82-game schedule, he is going to get himself some Norris consideration. And then at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, these 3 games get started, beginning with the Winnipeg Jets and the Calgary Flames. Scheifele's going to be fun to watch for Winnipeg now that he's not leaving, now that he's got that contract extension. Gabe Vilardi, who they got in the Dubois trade, he's playing on the first line on the wing. And for Vilardi, he looks quite comfortable there. At least he did during the preseason. We'll see how it goes now that the games are going to matter. And for Josh Morris, he had a fantastic first half of last season before tailing off in the second half. Does he have another really strong first half this year? On the Calgary front, you've got Lindholm, you've got Hanifin. These are your 2 pending UFAs. How do they get started this season? And how long is that conversation going to be out there with Calgary before there's some sort of a resolution, either via player signing an extension or some kind of a trade taking place? Mangiapane's one I'm going to be keeping an eye on for Calgary as well. He had a bit of a down year last year, comparatively speaking, with the year he had before that. I think his goal total is going to be somewhere in between the two. I don't think he's going to be struggling for goals like he did last year, but I don't think he'll get quite as many as he did the previous year either. But we'll see. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, Colorado and LA. And like I said, I think this is the second half of the TNT doubleheader. Colorado, no record for them. LA, no record for them, as it is with every team on the board minus Chicago. McKinnon, of course, for Colorado is the guy to watch, as is Makar. So up front, you have McKinnon, Makar on the blue line. And they're both fantastic players, electrifying players. But also, I will be keeping an eye on Ryan Johansson, who's going to be counted on to carry some of that offensive load as their projected number 2 center. And we'll see how things go. Number 2 center spot was a problem for Colorado last season. If adding Johansson really and truly fixes it, that's going to make them that much more difficult to defeat once we get into April and we get into the playoffs. For LA, of course, this is Dubois' regular season debut. He looked pretty good during the preseason. We'll see how things work in the regular season, but no reason to think he won't be able to stay at around a point per game. Drew Doughty has had a couple of really good seasons. He's not the dominant defenseman he was, say, a decade ago, but still a very good defenseman. And Kopitar, you have very, very consistent work ethic and effort from Kopitar, who has also signed an extension. He's not leaving LA anytime soon. And he really is still the identity of this team up front, as Doughty is on the blue line. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. We will also see the Oilers and the Canucks matching up. And I thought about whether or not to wear Canucks for the preview because it's their home opener. But I thought, it's Boston Centennial. That's never going to happen again, so sure. So the Oilers 0-0 and Vancouver 0-0. As previously stated, everybody's 0-0 minus 1. McDavid, of course, usually starts the season pretty well. He usually finishes the season pretty well, and in the middle, he's pretty good too. Really, really consistent production from McDavid, who's going to be looking to get to that 150-point mark. Because if he hits 150 points this year, that's 1,000 in his career already. Connor Brown, a lot of excitement around his addition to the team and his natural chemistry with McDavid. They do know each other. And so, yeah, that's kind of exciting. We'll see how it works. Darnell Nurse, I have on the board as one to keep an eye on because I like Nurse's game. I really do. And I think that while his contract's probably a little bit much, I think that he had a bit of a down year last year and he should be better this year. For Vancouver, of course, Pettersson. A lot of talk about Pettersson and his contract. And starting tonight, we'll start to see whether or not that talk might be affecting him. Because with some players it can, many players it may not. But it can, where if you have that distraction, it can throw you off in your game. Quinn Hughes, his first official game as the captain. Because preseason games, they don't count. It's gone. Preseason, exhibition, who cares? So Quinn Hughes is captain, and really, in all honesty, I think that's the right call. And Brock Besser. Brock Besser, of course, a goal producer. And in his best years and in recent seasons, that's been more of a struggle. I'm hoping Besser gets off to a really good start, and then we hear the end of any discussion of whether or not he should be traded. I know, it's probably just too much hope for me, and it's probably not going to happen. Anyways, let me know your thoughts and your picks in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.